had killed the market for, of course. So now this had killed the market for, of course.
I'm ready.
You're welcome on Black Roots Fire Network. Well, Maria and my colleague INNOSSETU, broadcasting live from Uganda. It is, of course, a good afternoon. It is 42 minutes past. It is actually 17 minutes to 9, I should say, here in East Africa. It's me, Africa Maria. We want to first of all thank all those who endeavor to join our shows, and yeah, for someone to, of course, leave whatever it is that they are doing to come just to watch you have this show means a lot, and we really, really appreciate. There is too much echo. But of course, today's topic is about the forbidden truth in African schools. I would just say that this is quite a general thing. It's not only about African schools, but it's general, right? There is a lot of truth that is being denied out there. And actually, one of the basics of education is seeking knowledge and truth, right? But it's quite unfortunate that what we wish to attain, or the major purpose of us attending schools, is not actually we don't see the major purpose of us attaining schools is not fulfilled by the system. It is a shame for you to go to school and pay money, more especially in Africa where education is expensive, pay money for you to have knowledge, understanding, and of course, get to know truth about different things. Uh, only for you to come back when you're raw. In fact, more raw than the person who has not gone to school. It's a shame. It's indeed a shame because, and this is why we find a lot of, this is why we find a lot of arguments, debates among educated people and the non-educated because they feel like it is just not, it's unbelievable for someone to be educated and they don't know a thing. All right. Like I said, the major purpose of us attending schools is to get knowledge, all right, to technical know-how of different things, understanding, but school does not produce this. You realize that apart from probably learning languages, there is nothing much that people are learning in schools that you cannot learn, even if you don't attend schools. When it comes to practical issues, it's all about you getting to know what to do. All right, practically, it's all about you getting to know how something is done. What are you going to do about this? The steps that you need to follow for you to achieve something, rather than you going through a whole lot of books that a whole lot of books that usually Africans have. Um, oh, so commuting.
Muda msamo sikutabarikiwa changanya msamo
Oh, Abantwana imithezonganisa.
Kwabaziwa isimo kwenhlanzeko.
Sorry about that. Our network had, of course, cut off. I don't know why, but yeah, we are back on. Once again, thank you for those who are still watching us, and thank you for being patient enough to wait on us. Like we've been trying to say, so we have experienced a lot of scenarios in Africa where people, particularly like the so-called educated people, find it hard for them to believe that everything they know is false. And I think this is why we have a hard journey to I don't know how to unlearn what most people have learned. All right, it has become so hard because of course, the blindfold on the education system starts from the first day someone steps in school. If we look at different scenarios of things and how different things are happening in Africa, we have through the rhymes and, of course, uh, songs we sing in school, you will understand there is a lot of hidden knowledge about the praise of someone else rather than the praise of the people or someone that the children know. And like I said, for you to meet someone and you try to tell someone the truth about what is actually happening, it becomes so very hard. First of all, for someone to be attending education, they believe in this education and they believe it's the best option that I've done. Yes, I can say that maybe the greater things people have achieved in education. One of the greatest things is for one to learn the languages or different languages that people learn. Um, and also getting to know how to interact with others, because it is not only through the blackboard or the board that people get to learn. So but looking at the basic part, which of course is oneself, identifying you, your history, and everything around you, this is one of the things that, of course, help to build someone's intelligence, someone's no understanding or natural wisdom. Most of these things are not things that school has given us. They have not sharpened or they have not shaped that section of natural wisdom, because at times you see, even if someone is naturally wise, which is not usually attained in schools, that wisdom needs to be shaped for you to understand more. It needs to be shaped, and it is shaped through various things. One is the ways of life exposure, how you, ways of life, that's one exposure. That is to experience, that is three in a lot more, right? But education has not given us that fundamental part. And if you look at Africa's education system, most of the education system here does not concentrate on practical part. It is just of recent, not many years ago, that we are seeing people now participating in IT, all right, where it is being done practically. At times, people were learning the theory part. I don't know what is wrong with the theory education system that we have in Africa. People, you will ask theory questions and people will pass. For example, you may ask someone on a computer, can you show me where a keyboard is? Can you show me where this is? They will know this is a keyboard, the other one is a screen, this one is a mouse, and this one is whatever. But how can you operate the things you're naming? How do you operate them when someone doesn't really know how to operate the things? And now this is the kind of system. But I think we need more than what the system is giving us now. There is a lot of forbidden truth in African schools, like I said. It is forbidden for Africans to know their roots. It's forbidden for Africans to get to understand the practical part of the theory part, because the moment you learn a technical know-how, that means the people are afraid that Africa is going to move on to the next step. And when it comes to the practical sector, and that means they are definitely going to lose their jobs, they're definitely going to lose their access or their touch on Africa's soil. Because basically, the practical parts of the things are usually things that are fundamentally needed in Africa to develop the economy and the standards of people's livelihood. All right. Nowadays, we don't. Before, we used to see a lot of people coming down here as constructors, building different, of course, things. But now we are seeing we are having engineers who are practically involving themselves in this. And even if we have different organizations from outside Africa that are signing contracts, of course, this is not because Africans are not able to do what they are doing, but it's because we are having bad governance. You see, so at times it is okay for us to complain about the bad governance, and more especially if you have the capabilities to do things. Okay, we had a lot of people, some not believing in Africa. Africans cannot invent a lot of things. You people are still taking medicines from the Western world, the Western countries, and all that. You cannot make your own. And I can still say that, like I said last time, the coming of COVID-19 proved that Africans are capable of doing what is theirs with their own style, in their own style. And by the way, Africans have been a doctorate in medicine, though we have always concentrated usually on herbs. So it is just inappropriate for someone to claim that Africans don't know how to make medicine. Yes, we know how to make medicine. It is just uneducated for someone to think that the herbs we use are not medicines because we are not taking pills, but we have got herbs that are in pills, that are in pill forms. We have got, even if our drugs are not westernized kind, but yeah, we have some others who are taking that pharmaceutical bullshit, also doing it, because we have got coated being processed in Africa and so on and so forth. And yes, so naye bano abantu bano olowooza tibagosti people.
Can somebody actually check the right because they want so they want to be
Yeah. So a lot has been actually going on, and it is very hard. I'm sorry to say, it is not like I'm trying to undermine, our system, because we still attend education. Lwaki ate ng'enva tezinnaba kujja? Ate ngambi mbagendezeeko bugendeezi. Amabanga g'ekinya.
So, about of course the forbidden truth in African schools. Growing up as a child, I've gone through different, of course, different levels of education in Uganda. Of course, Africa is an African country, but there are certain things I've watched as there are certain things that I've gone through in education when I was studying. There are a lot of untold issues when you look at the entire education system in Africa. I guess in point, because for Uganda, I know Uganda very well. I know how education system in Uganda works. I know how things work in Uganda, and I know how, of course, how the sector of education, of course, is moving today and is doing. When you look at education system that is in Africa, when you look at African schools, today I was surprised the schools that we have here in Uganda. There was some trending videos on TikTok um, about a certain school which was teaching young kids homosexuality. Like they were teaching how these kids like how to bend and how to learn, stuff. I was watching this video on TikTok. This is a Ugandan school. So this is the kind of education they are trying to impact in the young generation. I always say, actually, I have my friend when I just joined Black Fire Network the last year. I had my friend actually. I was with him in college. I was with him in high school. That was like, bro, I got a job on Black Fire Network, and if I told you don't care, you can join me, and of course we discuss African issues. We discuss issues concerned with Africa. The next day, of course, we had a show with Maria. I remember it was about how of course Bobby Wine, of course, is a puppet. Like we were trying to elaborate, but I remember the conversation. I remember the discussion was rotating around Bobby Wine by that time. Then I told this guy, this friend of mine, he's doing law. He's doing law in a good university in Uganda. In fact, a government university, because when you look at Uganda, when it goes to university, it is these government universities that are good schools, that are good universities. Then I told this guy, like, if you don't feel like, if you feel free, you can join me on the platform. Like I shared for him the link on WhatsApp so that he can join me and we discuss issues about our motherland. The guy, the first time, the first thing actually, I had uh, of course, to orient this guy about what I'm going to talk about so that he doesn't bland around when I'm live. Then I was like, we're going to talk about Bobby Wine. Bobby Wine is a puppet, and of course, we need a leader. If at all, of course, we are planning and we're building a leader. We need someone at least who feels for Africa, who feels for Uganda, who has that heart, who has that patriotic, of course, heart for Uganda. The guy told me, if I told you you're going to talk about Bobi Wine, I'm sorry. If I told you you're going to talk about Bobi Wine, if I told you calling Bobi Wine my president, a puppet, I'm sorry, I will not join you. I remember since then we have never talked. What is that?
Maybe a new.
I,
Nsanze bwetukulootiya kyalo kyakabigiramu
I remember since then, I've never talked back to this friend of mine. We have never had a serious chat with this friend of
the
mine.
other guy.
But I thought if at all actually I bring this guy out for a discussion, this is the guy who is doing law. He might be having an extra understanding compared to the people left in the village, compared to other people. I thought he's out of the box. I thought the guy will think out of the box. But I was so surprised. This is a guy who has studied. This is a guy that is doing law. I thought someone who does law has some sense in the head. But I was so surprised. The guy said that if at all you're talking about Bobby Wine, that is my president, you're calling Bobby Wine a puppet, I'm sorry, I will not join your life. I'm very sorry, and sorry, and sorry. Even Rich Danielson was like, why is it that you're calling Bobby Wine a puppet? Why is it not Museveni? Why is it that you're calling Bobby Wine a puppet? I told him Museveni and Bobby Wine, they are all puppets. He was like, they are no one. Like Bobby Wine is not a puppet. I was like, why is him seeking? Of course, why is he? Well, by that time, by now, Bobby Wine was making tours across Europe and USA. So I was like, why is he moving to those countries? Why do we see him with CNN every time? Why is it that whenever there is something that happens in Uganda, Bobby Wine is put in their articles, even when they have no proof? I was watching like news on CNN. It was about, I remember, of course, it was a protest, but in reality, the protest wasn't there in Kampala. But they were like, this protest is, yeah, it has been led by Museveni's, there is a way they phrased that Museveni's what? Museveni's major competitor. It was, it was organized by Museveni's major competitor. Let us take you through what is in Uganda right about. They had was published. Why do they broadcast things that are not true? They had no proof that there was a protest. Yeah, they brought, of course, an ex article of Bobby Wine. But in reality, there was no protesting in Uganda. That's why there were no videos. They were posted like Bobby Wine, like they brought his picture, folding his hands, very annoying with the red cane, like Julius Malema. So that is like I separated with my friend. I grew up with him in school because of ideological differences. For him, he thought and he says Bobby Wine is not a puppet. But where does that problem comes from? Lack of information. The information that is available for us in schools, actually, it is fake. It doesn't give the truth. It doesn't open our minds to understand what's going on.
Nisobola omwana abadde takawudde rwose.
So, this of course takes us back to a conclusion that there is a lot, uh, there is a lot of hidden information. Of course, there is a lot of hidden information. They don't want students, they don't want pupils, they don't want kids to know in schools. A lot of hidden information. When I was growing up, starting from elementary education, kindergarten, we used to sing songs in our native language. We used to sing songs from Ghana actors. We used to sing from, these were purely, we used to read books from African writers when I was studying kindergarten and elementary education. But I was so surprised. Nowadays, there is something that is in education. Um, I was taking my daughter for kindergarten at a certain school. But I was so surprised with the school. I reached at the school. They welcomed me very well. I saw other kids at school who were speaking good English. despite their age. You know, in Africa, to find a young kid speaking like fluent English is not easy. Like, however much we were colonized stuff, but most of the kids in Africa they speak their native language. They're just transformed here in education. But when the kid is still at home in the hands of the parents 24/7, they speak the native language. It is after they go to school and their mind becomes enslaved. So I took my daughter in that school. I was so surprised that they used to open. Actually, they used to show these kids. They were not teaching these kids anything, but they were showing them cartoon. They were showing them cartoon on TV. So they were all seated watching TV. These are young kids. These are kids 5 years of age, 4 years of age. They are showing cartoon of astronauts, the first astronauts that went to moon through NASA. They are watching cartoon of they're watching cartoon of course of American of course renovations that have made cartoon. They're watching Iron Man, those Marvel cartoons and Disney cartoons. Of which these cartoons they even have content that doesn't apply to, of course, African societies. Cartoon, you will find a young kid talking about, actually, for me, when I was growing up with TV, I remember the thing that was spreading during that time. There were Nigerian movies here in Uganda and wrestling. I used to watch John Cena so much when I was growing up. I used to watch John Cena and some other movies, movies. Sorry, apart from the wrestling. I used to watch wrestling so much. So this is how kids grow up. Like you may fight as much as you can to put your kid in line, to understand how things are, to bring the truth to your kid. But the school will hide away this truth from these kids. That's why most of the kids they become pupils to students, but when they have not gotten anything from education, when they have not understand, when education has not helped them to understand how the issues are addressed, to understand how things move, to understand how to tackle different issues of course, in an African way. That's why very many of them desire to move abroad. If you ask, uh, Jimmy Jabba, says, "Hey, my brother Setu, good evening, Jimmy Jabba, good afternoon, good morning. I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good, Jimmy Jabba. How is your day and how is your night? Let me hope you're doing good, Jimmy Jabba. And by the way, Jimmy Jabba, what is time, guy? What is time? I'm doing good, Jimmy Jabba. Let me hope you that's been so nice, so fine. We're also doing good with Maria here. We are so fine. But now this laptop wants to shut down. Where is the power? Let me first fix this. Why does this thing take slow to recharge? Why does this thing? Whichever, I'm sorry for being up and down. This PC wants to shut down. I don't know what the problem. Ah, good. It's charging again. So, whichever say things are fine. It's 10 till 9. I'm here. Wow. Wow. It is still morning. Oh, it is becoming night this side, Jibijaba. It is just 51 minutes past 3 p.m. today, 13th of September, here in Uganda. Though we are not in Kampala, we are not in the capital. So, you followed us actually discussing the forbidden truth, African school, and the forbidden truth in African schools. I've been, of course, trying to actually, but let me ask this: is it right for teachers in kindergarten, of course, to show these kids, in fact, their brains are new to everything, to show them cartoon in kindergarten? Is it okay for real? Like, is it okay for you? Like, if you were a teacher of the kindergarten individual, would you show kids cartoon in kindergarten? The individual says that second degree, truth like how we created math, science, art, everything. Okay. And there is something we used to ask in school, where we used to, and by the way, we have seen, we learned that there is something actually, this thing is serious. I remember in school, we used to, the video says that I learned, I learned adult certain. I could read at an advanced. I learned adult subjects before kindergarten. I could read at an advanced age before kindergarten. Oh, oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. So there is something like parents should teach their children and don't really slow upon the miseducation system. Good day, Maria.
Good day, Jibby.
Whenever it's raining here, I used to be talking to Maria. She would be like, "It's raining this side, but it's raining here." But Division, actually, the right thing would be, before children go to school, they should be educated. They should be taught certain things before they go to the real school. I don't know whether I'm free enough or the rain is overshadowing my voice. But before before kids are taken to school, they should be told values. They should be taught certain things before they are taken to school. Deba says we have a drought here, you like to have rain. But you Deba, the other time it was raining that side. It was raining on that side.
So, okay.
That was the last
Nsobola kujja bbanga sitegedde kyobadde
one.
yadde
Yes, to go.
bamanyi wentandikira
Yes, to go with that.
kugamba si mububi lwaki akugamba
Next relation, next physical. Do Ugandan parents teach sparing and reading before the child goes to kindergarten?
it depends on the parent but a lot of parents work it depends on the parent not all parents know English. Not all parents know how to read and write. Not all parents understand even the spellings. But it depends. Even we have parents who are educated, but they have no time for the kids. But I think it would be a great idea for you to let your child learn before they go to school. Because when they join kindergarten, it becomes a walkover. Because basically in kindergarten, these are the things that they are taught, right? I'm not going to say all parents, but parents who know the spellings, who know how to read and write, they will definitely do that for your kids. Yeah. But not all, because like not everybody has been to school. Same here, same thing. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, but it's raining out here. Whew. Bano balembese bano. So we balembese. So we have had that kind of education. Innocent was giving an example with a friend with whom he believed in as an educated or a law student, thinking that since he's a law student, he's definitely going to understand. And like I say, we educated, whatever it is that we is not the truth. It's like, such as a friend is the typical example of this. A lot of educated people find it hard, so he was inviting him over for just a debate, and he got pissed off. Yeah, because Innocent probably did not believe in his ideas and what he held like, um, what he thought like was right. Innocent was trying to let him know that whatever it is that you feel is right or true is not, and he got pissed off because it is very hard. Actually, not only, we have not seen this with not only with some other people, but of course, even the ones who are cautious now. It is a very hard situation for you to believe that something that you have been told is the truth for a very, very long time. Someone else is telling you it's not true. Something that you've been holding as something very special. For someone else to come out and tell you that this, whatever it is that you think it is not, or whatever truth you think you know is not that truth. it is very extremely hard, okay, for someone. Um, but of course, we usually tell people that this is a slow, it is going to be slow, all right? We know at times it is kind of piecing, but we know that knowledge of self looks like arrogance to those who do not have it. I know someone just they just want to argue over just an obvious thing. There is no obvious thing in something that is not true. All right. There is no obvious thing in something that is not true. But we know that it is very hard for the majority or a lot of people to believe in to believe that whatever it is they have known for a person or from whatever they have attained in school if it's false. All right. I think this is one of the reasons why we still have issues of um, trying to unite people. Because yes, I know we live in a world of different ideologies, but the fact that people have that closed mind, and by the way, you growing up believing that something is the truth does not necessarily make it the truth. And people need to research, people need to try and learn a lot of things because the truth in some cases is something that um, the truth, like I say, is usually the truth. And at times the truth in most cases is undebatable. It's something that you cannot debate about. The moment it sinks in your head, you'll get to understand that definitely this is the truth and there is no way around it. But in most of the cases, a lot of the things we learn always end with question marks with no answers. And they keep us thinking, okay, if so, let me say, for example, when they say that Africans come from monkeys or Africans come from apes, and then you keep asking yourself, then what happened to the apes that we still see in the forest? Then why do we still have? Are they going to change to something else? Have they not evolved? Is it a different say? With a lot of questions. But when you get to learn the true history of Africans, you will realize that there are histories that come with no question mark. It will just give you the true answer, and you don't need to run around the answer looking for some different answer. The answer is definitely obvious that we need not to debate about it. All right. If you still go back in school and they will teach you that the Europeans taught you how to read and write, and then the question is going to be like, but how come I can read and write my local dialect or language, yet a European cannot read and write my local language? Then what did you teach me? All right. And then you'll be asking, because if you say someone taught you how to read and write, and then this particular person cannot read and write your own, and then when they were teaching you that this person taught you how to read and write, but they did not categorize what exactly they taught you, which was definitely their language. I can still travel and teach people how to read and write my language if I know how to read and write it. All right. So they do not specifically identify what they taught us how to read and write. They told us, all right, you read, they taught you how to read and write, and then we should celebrate about it. But they did not teach us exactly because in Africa it was very important for you to be able to read and write English or French or your colonizer's language, that you had to neglect your own language, all right? So if at all I'm to question them how to read and write my own, will they be able to read and write my language? Will they be able to read and write my Renya language? Definitely not. Right? Good point. If we evolved from apes, why are there apes today? So everything that was taught about us in history or in African schools still leaves us with a question mark. Like, if it was so, you even need to go back home and still question your parents' mom, you question your parents' papa. How come this is like this? How come they told us it was like this? Then why is it this way? All right? Because the truth remain when the truth comes out, there is no question that shall be asked, really. When you find that truth, there is no more answer that you need to find. There is no more answer you need. The truth will set you free, like they say. There will be no more searching. When you identify the truth, you don't need. But it is very hard for people to accept and willingly to look for that truth because they think proudly with the pride they have that the truth they know is definitely the truth. And for you to, of course, give them the truth, they feel like it is an insult to their intelligence, which is actually not intelligence because if at all you are believing and accepting things that are humiliating you without question, and that means you have accepted that you are that particular thing that you're being identified with. All right. If their language is a hybrid of other language, how can they teach us a language is wrong or inferior? True, jib jabber. But of course, this is what people. This is what, like I say, this is what. If you look at our languages and what comes and how we write our language, it is just we do not get our languages from if at all we have our own I don't know if I should call them alphabets, but the particular things that we have in common maybe I see are the vowels. But if at all we are to look at others, we have got letters in our language that do not exist in the alphabet, but we have vowels, the vowels, the five vowel letters. Um, yeah. So that are very common. There is Innosentu's language. Innosentu, did you attend your language in school?
When I was child, maybe nasoma kutoka
Do,
during
do,
that time.
do you know how to read your alphabet chart?
A, E, O.
No, that's a vowel. Those are vowels.
Ba, cha,
Uh
da,
huh.
pa, e,
Are you serious?
e.
You're going to remember. You know, there is a letter I want you to sound because I want
Ba,
to.
cha, da, ka, da, fa, ga, la,
Ha,
pa, na, pa,
where are you skipping? Okay. Mhm.
pa, cha, chu, cha, sa, ta, va.
There is that letter.
Nama is not in alphabet, in English alphabetical
I
order.
didn't say English. I'm saying you were. I said you
Yeah,
were.
it is very written like this.
Aha. I say your alphabet, just like there is an alphabet in the Arab, they say ba, o, ta, o, ha, o, nga, o, mim, nun, nga. There is that, if you look at that, there is a similarity with the alphabet. I just wanted, I didn't know how to say it to make, Jaba understand it, but I will call it the alphabet, so that's why. There is that alphabet, let me say, that has, or I'll call it alphabet because for you guys to understand, that has pronunciations and the writings that are definitely different from the alphabets of the Bazungu. Our writings are very extremely different. All right. Very extremely like that now the nga that you write like this. I studied Innosetu's language, by the way. So that nga, the nya that people usually have that has two, and you cannot write it as a single. So it's not a vowel. Chitegera, nya teri vowel. Zilileta ndala. Uh-huh. Mm. So they are different. Their language is extremely different, and they cannot have taught us our own. So you cannot tell me they taught you how to read and write. And by the way, when we are learning this thing, they did not tell us until that somesachi. Check it out. What they say is a Muzungu taught you how to read and write, meaning that everything that is about reading and writing they introduced or they taught us. Yet we had our own languages before they came. We could read and write our own before they came. Why were they given that credit? Why is it not important for the educational system of Africa to elaborate and tell us that, okay, even if they taught you how to read and write. They only taught you their own language. But of course, they cannot say that because it will give an insight to everyone who is listening to this. And okay, so after all, that was your language. It is not important for me to know it. Okay, so this is why we have not seen them trying to say that. So Arabia, Sanskrit, cuneiform, all came from Kemet hieroglyphs, hieroglyphs. Yeah, so we have known how to read and write. Okay, it is not the Amazon who told us, but it is also outside by the way, because if you look at our education system, we don't usually concentrate a lot, and most of the stories that are taught about Africa are myth stories that are not true. This is what is in schools, and at the end of the day, everyone questions how, because myth stories, the myths are always confusing things. Yeah, they're always confusing. They are always confusing. But these are the stories that are told in schools that will leave you not interested, will leave you confused. And most of them are always categorized with some evil stuff that come on it, things that are very scary and all that. And these are things that actually never happened. They just create them from the blue. Because myths are not true stories. These are stories that are like fictional stories. And if at all you are to look at the stories that are told about Africa in schools, are fiction stories. They tell you stories, you can form stuff, you can form. Actually, that will leave you wondering and questioning. And the moment you have that, it gets so boring. Stories that have no foundation. We have got Hamites who traveled from the other side. We have got so Cushites, we have got termites, or whatever termites are not bullshit. We've got whatever and whatever who come from the other side. And at the end of the day, movements that are coming from different areas with no end. And the last Genesis will show you they all came outside Africa and they all came in. So Africa was empty and they all came in. And someone's going to say, we have the people who settled on the islands and of course the coast of East Africa. They traveled, they came straight up from Cameroon and received the Bantu
You guys back in Kampala?
No,
Oh, okay. I thought so. All right.
we are not in Kampala. Tuli Muchalo.
Okay, you guys out. Okay, you guys out in grasshopper. You guys out in grasshopper country. All right.
Yesterday wanted to show you the grasshopper when we were on the live, but you didn't come.
I wasn't there yesterday. You guys didn't go live yesterday. You guys went live 2 days ago. You guys didn't go live yesterday, did you? I didn't see you guys yesterday.
It's what I don't like. It's, you know. We were on live last night.
Last night,
Yeah.
I must admit. How long were you guys live?
We were on live last night.
I missed it. I missed that.
We wanted but then they have get that again. We
I
wanted to
didn't,
show you the
I
what?
didn't see it. You ain't got to show me that nasty shit.
It's when our lights got back.
See, that's why Irritan, is that correct, Jim? Yeah, that's why Irritan got salty with me. And I was talking about the African mindset. That's because eating them damn grasshoppers, how Chinese come in and beat them upside the head, take over the countries. And like I showed everybody. I showed it Zambia, I showed it Sierra Leone, I showed it Namibia. Don't get mad at me. That's what's happening. Shit. Don't get mad at me because the Chinese are come and say African man is weak and they beating his ass. I'm just showing you the proof. Don't get mad at me. Keith, they're waking up. We're waking up now. We're not gonna stand for it. All right. Is that what you say? Who am I? Who am I to tell you different? Okay, if you say so. But them videos show them Africans getting their ass beat by these Chinese people. So I don't like to see it, but truth is the truth. Keeping African people prisoners in Zambia. They say, why don't you let them go home to their wives? What about their wives? Chinese man told you, I don't give a fuck about their wives. I'm going to enslave these niggas. They're going to work and stay here as long as I want them to stay here. Who's going to take care of their wives? What about their wives? Chinese man said, I don't give a fuck about their wives. Fuck their wives. These African morons are going to stay here and work as long as I tell them to. Like, damn. All right. Yeah, because you had a group of Chinese enslaving these African men in their factory in Zambia. Made them so they couldn't go home at all. And so finally, one of the officials found out about it, and he went to the company. He said, hey, why aren't you letting these men go home? He said, because I need them to stay here and work. He said, yeah, but they got to knock off. He said, knock off. They got to go home. What about their wives who take care of their wives? Chinese man said, I don't give a shit about their wives. Fuck their wives. And so like I told Irritan, that government official in Zambia who found out the truth and exposed it, he didn't get told right. He got fired. The Chinese told him to fire his ass. They fired him. They didn't change shit with the workers. They fired his ass for exposing it. For exposing that the Chinese were keeping these African men as slaves inside their factory. So they didn't tell him, yeah, you did a good job exposing the truth. Nah, they didn't do that, Miss Maria. They fired his ass. They fired the African. Yeah, These group of niggas are supposed to be slaves. What kind of African man is going to allow Chinese men to keep them as slaves inside a factory and don't do nothing about it? So, that's all that. That's all that grasshopper eating. There's something wrong with your mind. Shit, I don't know. That's all that grasshopper eating. Something wrong with the African man's mind. I don't know. Eat too many goddamn grasshoppers.
Okay, you ever say that we stick to ground dance and popcorn? Then he says, what's to this one? Jibijaba, today's topic is the forbidden truth in African schools. In African schools. By the way, we heard that, of course, Jibijaba, that African Americans, there was time when they were once denied access to, of course, to education, to read and write. Is this true, Keith and Jibijaba? Is it true that there was time when African Americans were denied access to understand reading and writing? Uh, you know, the way, and by the way, apart from my area, Maria's area, where, of course, where am I right about now? It is the second largest part of the country where, of course, where grasshoppers, of course, where grasshoppers are bought when it comes to season. Jibijaba, I think, is replying to the question I asked. He says yes, they would kill us. I guess that is it. I read it the way it was to be. So, going back to, of course, African schools, like African schools, there is a way they are molding. There is a way they are molding, of course, children in Africa to be so. Jibijaba still says that we would have a seat outside of the class and over here the lesson. Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. It's really crazy. Like crazy. Crazy. Like it's really crazy. Now, I always ask myself if at all these whites they're mistreating our brothers and, of course, our brothers and sisters in the US, the UK, and other countries in Europe and US, why is it that when they come here in Africa, there is a way they point, there is a way they paint a picture in our eyes There is a way they want us to treat them like we see them in TV. They're superpowers, they're not criminals, they don't kill people, they don't enslave people, they're always right, they know everything, they civilize Africa. Whenever we see Bazungus coming to Africa, that is the kind of picture they want us to be looking at. They want us to look at them in that picture. The Bible says that the master would be at you if you fall. Schools were racially segregated until the law was passed in the 1950s. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. Now these are the people that say that we want black people. We told black people. We told Africans free and right. Call it colleges came later. It is really crazy, GBG. Now they come here to tell us, we helped you Africans to learn reading and writing. And now today, there is something in Africa they are bringing. It is in Africa today, it is mandatory for a parent to take their kids to schools despite of their age at school. You have to take your kid at school, and there are schools that are taken to be of a high standard. Let me say that today today kids in school, they are too much into maths, like getting higher grades than understanding what's going on, what they're really studying in school. I remember in school we studied algebra in mathematics. I remember in school we had a lot. We learned about pi. I know you have ever heard about this. We looked for x in algebra. We studied logarithm. That is was mathematics. We studied about I remember we studied about finding the area, but people or African people have failed to apply all these things they learned from school in real life. There is no African who can prove you to apply logarithm in real life, to apply
Algebra.
algebra in real life. Yes, these things were introduced by our ancestors. They applied them and became successful. But today, you just have to understand how it is done. You pass exams, period. But applying it in real life, because we are living real life, we are not living a virtual life of looking for X. But that is, and it doesn't, of course, it doesn't go to mathematics only, even other subjects. Like the physics we learned in school, finding the weight of air in a tire, finding the weight of air in a tire, finding the weight. Dibijaba says collect, settle. Kids are taught to pass standardized tests instead of true knowledge. If schools have high marks on these tests, the school gets more state funding. Yeah.
Recently, we there is something that actually this is similar to what Jibjaba is saying. My brother's son was attending a certain school, Ochurira, but a private, you're right. But he was always at the top, and everyone was like, yeah, yeah, he's extremely smart, and the school was expensive. But when he was taken to a somewhere that I think they have movement, just again the whole get out. But every 4 weeks here. But when he was taken to another school, do it. He's failing. Yet when he was being registered in that school, oh, we were like, It's going to be winning the other side. But why? Why was he failing? In this school being an expensive school, all they look at is money. And they have to make sure your child passes. Because the moment your child does not pass, you are going to question their capabilities. So they have to make sure that the child comes home with the best report card. Which again comes home with the best results, even if the child is failing or what, they have to make sure the child delivers best results so that you don't start questioning why is this child not performing right. So this is the similar case to what Jib Jabba was trying to, of course, say. Kids are taught to pass. People are taught cram work. You just have to cram. You don't need to understand. You just have to cram.
I'm one of those people who used to cry because I knew that was the education by the. I'm someone who just looks at something like I like collect certain things and I write the exact thing in exam because that is like if you write something different from what the teacher told you, they won't give you marks. If I told you change the language, no, I mean if I told you change the language, but when the answers remain actually give the same meaning, the teacher won't give you the marks. You won't get marks.
I think that is why I don't get marks because me, I
For
don't
that.
take a chance. in those subjects of cramming. I don't know because I don't know. I'm not a good person in the subjects of cramming. I in me whenever there is a teacher we used to have at our university, Madam Aisha. I usually sorry. Our madam. It was like don't say it. We used to have issues because she wants you to say exactly what she says. That is not how people understand. I cannot use that your same vocabulary, I cannot use your same explanation. I can apply my own as long as I've understood. All right. And just like what Innocent says, he says exactly what someone has said. He's good at cramming things. All right, I understand when you tell me now this is the problem that people this is what exactly the education system wants us to be like. Okay, I think the most important thing is for me to understand what Jib Jabba is saying. But the education system does not want that. You are supposed to say exactly, you are supposed to cram exactly what other people or whatever you are being told to do. And at times, and actually, I think this is the issue because maybe I'm going to, first of all, you as a teacher who is teaching, you're also not saying the exactly things in a textbook. You are explaining them in the way you understand. In school, we have got people who understand that very day. We are also got people who understand different the next day when they remember what it is. You may teach, these are people, this is how different people understand. You may teach something and indoctrination forming a consensus. Yes, Jabba. There are people who you will talk to and they will not understand, but the moment they go and they think, and then they will have an echo of what you've been saying, and then they'll be like, oh, yeah. Now, the education system does not allow you to think. The education system does not allow you to have your own mind for you to think. And at times you find when it comes to higher institutions, this is where you find everyone trying to collide with the teacher or the lecturer who is teaching that particular course unit. Because why do you want me to use your same words in an examination? that means the entire school is going to write the same answer. Why don't you want me to apply my knowledge of how I have understood what it is you have told me? You want me to still follow your same channel, and yet even my answer is right, and yet my own. So this is it, because they are trained to teach us groundwork. They are trained to teach us to cram. People go to school just to pass, but not to understand why they are learning, what it is they are learning. All right. It is a pity, because if we have countries like in Africa that have got the so-called elite educated people, at least this should be the people who are standing up, but rather these are the same people that are actually disappointing, because their minds have sunken deeper into the shitholes of all this bullshit, you know. So it is very hard. And by the way, it is, if I told you are to still follow the courses, or if I told you are to follow the most innovators in Africa are not people who are extremely educated. Schools do not give you that ability. Not even the ability. Schools do not allow you to think for yourself. They do not allow you to think for yourself, you know. I had the statistics teacher that if you got the wrong answer, you will still get points for going through the process of getting the answer. You would learn your mistakes and not get an F. You can imagine that.
And at university, things become easier. Let me say that. Because for you to attend a lecture in class, they give you 5 marks, 5 marks for attending. So at the end of the day, you find out that if the pass mark is at 50%, someone is getting 50% for just attending. So
Then
if
you
attend,
can
you can get 50% for attending all the lectures. But when you have not got anything, talking about the issue of cramming, I remember when I was studying in A level, when I was studying high school as a teacher of history. That guy, like I was asking myself, why is it that I fail history that I teach others? I used to teach other people's history. Why is it that I fail history that I teach others? I realized my mistake was like I wasn't writing the exact things the other guy used to give us in notes. I used to use my own language to bring, of course, this thing out. So the moment I started writing the things the wrong English actually the guy used to give us, I used to perform at the end of the day.
I think they just do it. I don't know, maybe they are just so angry or something, because at times they really piss me off. There is something that an answer, a right thing is a right thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that because you are saying something different, I'm just not right because I'm saying something, because I'm using another way to approach that. And when, like, you see, and this is it. So someone cannot come, you cannot start explaining. Let me say, Because first of all, even the way this particular person is explaining to you is not the way another lecturer in another school is explaining. Because when it comes to explaining things, it's about you understanding. I think teaching is that you go and get to revise through whatever topic you are going to teach. This is what I think, even if I'm not a teacher. You go through the topic, understand the topic, then come and put whatever you have understood in the minds of other people. But for you, now, the teachers like want us to think that whatever it is they are saying is how it is written in whatever context or the textbook or what teacher's book. All right. Yet everything is always summarized. I know you come to say someone will say, no, that is not that is not how it is supposed to be. It is supposed to be like this, and then you are like, what is the difference? What is the difference of what I'm saying? And the teachers disagreeing. Someone will tell you if I told you are going to you know it really pisses, but if at all you get to understand, when you're conscious, you wake up, you realize at times going to school becomes very boring and extremely annoying, because you look at the process and the system and how the knowledge is being injected, and you're like, this is bullshit. And at times even you tend to disagree with even your teachers a lot, because I think if I was conscious, I would disagree with my history teachers a lot, to the point that maybe they would chase me out of class, because there is a lot that needs to be debated on. There is a lot that needs to be debated on, and I know the moment you spill that truth on your examination paper, you're going to get a zero. So you have to go with the false. You have to keep writing the wrong history and all bullshit for you to get the marks.
And whenever there is, whenever a curriculum is out, whenever a curriculum is out, they bring out books to be taught in different course units or subjects. They bring out certain books to be taught. Most of these books, they are not designated by these teachers,
They're also reading someone else's work.
someone else's work. So they can't change someone else's work. Together. In Uganda, we have the so-called new curriculum now, from the old curriculum among new starters of course, in high school.
In high school.
In high school. But I was so surprised. Teachers were like, no, we have not dissolved completely into this new curriculum. Actually, they had different workshops so that they can of course get adapted to this new curriculum.
Wow, what different thing are they teaching
I'm still getting-
people today?
The reason why they tell them to have workshops so that they don't change whatever they are going to be taking, whatever these people want them to do at the end of the day. So you don't have to do your own stuff. Which together. So if at all, for me, I think if at all the education system, like for example, if at all innocent, I want to be a journalist. I want to be a journalist, or like if at all I go to school, why is it that teachers don't need? However, literature review is necessary for you to review how different, of course, people have been writing about journalism and how they have been doing journalism, the status of journalism, but you don't need to rely, of course, to these people. You don't need to rely
Because they
much on
wrote,
these
some
people.
others wrote
Which
long
take it.
time ago.
Which take it. We are living in a current world where we see things that are trending. Teach me things that I see that are moving on right about now. When you look at our course unit, our course that we are doing, like the things that they are teaching, they are things of 25 years ago, 35 years ago, things that don't even apply to the society that we are having today. The things they are teaching us, the errors is about the watch about recorders to get news when they're using those small recorders. Eh?
yaumukati
Eh?
yaumukati tayabana mawulire bwotabuuka
Bonna nange abali Makerere.
abisho
Bonna abali Makerere. Naliko lumu ku radio emu omusomesa asomesa Makerere. It was CBS, I remember. I was in the village. Yali ku CBS nga ayogera ebizibu ebiri mu bannamawulire. Asomesa mawulire Makerere. They are the same things. They don't teach relevant things because ebintu obutabo they are literature because it was written.
Don't you remember last time when the other Muse was teaching us and we were trying to show him the types of lights? He was like, no. I was like, what are you saying? These lights are there. I was showing him the types of lights, the like, because there has been a modification. And the dad was like, no, you forget those types because you're going to be examined on these particular ones I'm telling you about. And we're like, why? Like, why? Why should we be examined on the things even we may never touch? On the things that even we don't really know, we even don't, we have not seen. All right? And yeah, it is so
There are
important.
instances when, of course, students learn certain things in school, and when they Google, they find different things. They
And
say
they
however
say,
much
"This
that thing was
Google."
used, however much that thing was used, but it is old-fashioned. Which again, they don't apply to the society that we are having today. Let them be other courses apart from much of the science subjects. Which again, most of them
I don't know.
they
I'll
get
tell
knowledge
you.
in internship.
It forget about even the internship. You see, most of these sometimes the institutions they are much on theories. Like I said, a lot of people don't even know what to do when they reach the right place where they're supposed to put the practical knowledge, where they're supposed to be practically seen. They don't know what to do. Again, they don't know. They know that theory, this is what is supposed to be done, but when it comes to practically, they start shivering because they have never practically done these things. Now, I think this is what we need: the practical in both sciences and other things. You cannot study engineering when you have not even seen those expensive equipments that have been taught that have never even come in your own country. Now, what if you come across it, then what? You cannot be saying you are an engineer when even you cannot innovate anything, when you cannot create anything from your mind. You just know to do what others have been doing. I don't know whether that one is also an engineer. You cannot be called. There are things, there are things you want to engineer. You want to still follow someone else's footsteps. How he of course worked on something. This is how you do it. What if you do it on your own? Can't you create something better? Can't you create something better?